when this thing doesn't work out, it's almost like we put all our eggs in one basket.
It's time we start the conversation. It's time we change the game. What happens when the roar of the crowd fades?
Different battle begins.
What happens when the final whistle blows? When the lights dim and the cheers stop? For years, they've trained, sacrificed, and given everything to the game.
But you're still chasing that. And when you get by yourself, that's the tough part. You got to sit with yourself and deal with the reality. And as my book would say, you got to learn how to cheer for yourself when nobody else is cheering.
Hello, how you guys doing? Dejon Jernagin here. Tonight I just thought to do something a little bit special. Number of different things going on. Many of you that know me know that I recently, about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, wrote a book called When the Cheers Stop, How to Help Athletes Deal with Depression. And I recently have really just been feeling like I have to do something to say something about something that is so very important. Just a few months ago, graduated from high school, finished playing high school sports. And as the title of my book and soon to come out documentary, that was the trailer that kind of was the intro of the show. As the title of the book says, When the Cheers Stop, How to Help Athletes Deal with Depression. I found that there's many athletes that deal with, that are dealing with depression, mainly because as I'm sharing this, you guys, and if you could share it, it would be great. Many athletes we know are dealing with depression. They deal with exactly what the title of the book says, When the Cheers Stop. I'll kind of go over some of the different things that we have, I have in my book that I think will help a lot of athletes. But tonight, I don't care. I don't mind. I'll just say, I don't know where many of you may be tonight, you fathers, you mothers, but I want to help you as we explore this and talk about this. I'm going to go over a number of different things, maybe some different signs that you can identify that you're a student athlete in whatever sport. I know I talk a lot about football, that a lot of these guys might be dealing with. I too, being an ex-professional athlete, college athlete, high school athlete, you get to a place of not knowing where things are going to be, what's going to happen when it's all over. I will go and say, we don't know when the cheers are going to stop. We don't know when that's going to be. For some kids, it's after youth football. Some kids, it's after 8th grade. Some kids, it's after high school. Some guys, it's after college. And we all have these dreams of grandeur, NFL, NBA, being at the top and the pinnacle. And even me as a professional athlete, I can remember where I was when it was all over. I thought it was all over in 1998 in Montreal, Canada. I was with the Globetrotters. I knew in my mind I was done. I was 28 years old, but I had no clue of what I was going to do. And imagine retiring. I'm not a retired NBA guy with millions of dollars. I'm retiring 28 years old, having did 3 years of playing as a sports agent and traveling with the Globetrotters, being in camp with the Suns, being on many tour professional teams, playing a game I played since I was 8 years old for 20 years of my young life, and now saying it's over. I'm done. What do I do now? And I can remember the different things and thoughts that have gone through my mind. And for me, there was no social media. There was no what a lot of the kids deal with today, the accolades. We had accolades, but we had to go to the newspaper. We had offers, but we had to get letters. And we had all these other things that now are so highlighted. It's all on steroids that you have to understand your son, your daughter are dealing with something. They're dealing with something that is so far above what we can think when we want those dreams, or those dreams are now. The reality is maybe I'm going to work for the first time. I'm going to do what I went to college for. I'm actually going to have to go and be a kinesiologist. So I'm going to, I didn't intern because I was preparing like a lot of my young guys. I didn't intern because I was preparing to get drafted. I was training every summer for the last 3.5 years. And that last year going into college, I didn't have a draft grade, but that didn't mean anything to me. I didn't talk to any agents. That didn't mean anything to me because I kept believing that I was going to go to the NFL. And when it didn't happen, all the cheers stopped. You're going to find, if you go on Amazon, this is my book, When the Cheers Stop, How to Help Athletes Deal with Depression, that there are a number of different things that attribute to this depression, and a lot of these different things, if we don't do what we need to do as parents, as mentors and coaches and people, and have real conversations. I'm always excited to say to my boy KD from Formula for Speed 707 and Daniel Terry for posting guys that are getting their bachelor's and guys that are getting their master's degree. Aaron Ritchie with your son, Richie that's just graduated from George Fox, and your other son that just graduated. I don't remember the school. I know I just see the post, but amazing that graduating from school. We have to celebrate those things just as well as we celebrate you were a 5th round draft pick, or he's going to the league, or whatever it may be, because a lot of our kids are not being celebrated in the right areas. And that goes to one of the places in my book that I talk about that is very, very important for us as parents, mentors, coaches, is that we help manage expectation. Anybody that knows me knows that this is something that I talk about all the time. Now, earlier I was on a live doing a recruiting show. I averaged somewhere between 60 and 120 people are listening about being recruited. I would hope, I'm not going to know till later, that if I could get the same amount of numbers of parents that are listening to what we're talking about when the cheers stop, about managing expectation. Because there's a number of young people, young men, young women that graduated in June, and their high school career, their youth career is over, and they don't know what to do, and they fall into a lot of deep depression. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit tonight about some of the patterns that we see, that as soon as maybe I didn't go D1 and I don't want to go D2. Those are comments that I hear. I thought I was going to go D1, and when I didn't, I didn't want to play anymore. because everything hinged on going Division I, or hinged on me being drafted. And now that I wasn't drafted, you see these patterns in my community. I see a number of kids now turn to becoming rappers. This is a sign that says I'm still chasing those cheers. And now if I'm rapping, if my music is cool, I'll still get those accolades that I was getting on the field. We find kids that are vaping more, that are smoking more weed, or smoking weed now because they're trying to mask and hide the pain of not getting where they had painted in their mind. So the question becomes, there's 10 questions that we're going to go over tonight, and I'm going to ask and talk to you guys about, to ask your kids, and I'm going to leave this live up as long as I can, that I might be able to help fathers and mothers really have a sit down with your kid. And I'm doing it right now before school starts back, before the season starts back, because we get so entrenched and so caught up into the game that we forget to ask, and we forget to communicate, how was your day? I'd venture to ask any dads, because I had this with my dad. Our conversation went as far as the Lakers and USC and the Dodgers and high school football and basketball and what was going on. But it wasn't until I was 22 years old that he realized that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and a businessman. He didn't know that. I think my mother knew, but they weren't together. I lived with my dad. That came from the lack of communication about and asking about, how's your day outside of football, outside of basketball, outside of soccer, outside of whatever sport there is. Ask you some questions, man. How's it going? How's your dating life? What is it that you really think you want to do? Taking time to help your student athlete or your child understand that there's so much more out in this life. And so I want to go over a couple of things, but what the first chapter in my book, it speaks about managing expectation, and where does that happen at? Where does that happen? Where do we do that at? How do we do that? How do we manage that expectation? I'll tell you what that looks like. That looks like, it's so funny about managing expectation for parents is, I'm going to start with the youth parent. And I know some people say, oh, man, you even if you're playing at a high level, you play a lot of games. But really stepping back and telling that coach, hey, we're going to play these games, or we're going to do 7-on-7, but we're not going to all these tournaments. I have to go and do some other stuff with my kid. Yeah, the recruiting guy is saying the same thing. Sometimes you got to step back. You can't do 30 camps. I really want to know what else my kid is good at. I want to know what he's done at. So in this first chapter of, is really helping the kids understand managing expectation. Being an athlete is not just about physical training and performance. It involves managing the mental and emotional stress that comes with the pressure to succeed. Having a conversation when you're not, getting recruited to go D1, I like to say managing that expectation is, hey man, there's nothing wrong. A lot of you parents have kids that are graduating in 26th class. There's nothing wrong with going Division II. There's nothing wrong with going NAIA. There's nothing wrong. You have outstanding grades. Everyone doesn't get into, Pomona College. Everyone doesn't get into Cal Lutheran. You got all of your tuition paid, and all we have to pay is for your dorms and very little money we've saved. I'm proud of you that you've gotten these type scholarships, even though it's not, because everyone in managing expectation parents, you guys know what your kid is going through on social media. They're chasing likes and they're chasing follows and subscribers. The harsh reality is that a lot of our parents are chasing the same thing or more, chasing it more than our kids are. So it's hard for us to manage expectation. I've been that dad. I want to be a part of that crowd that says my son's going D1. So they hear me in the car. They hear the conversation. They hear the light floss, or can I just say lie, that's told when you say, oh yeah, he getting recruited. You know, he's talking to these people. Then when you get back in the car, it's like, yeah, well, I didn't want to sound like you wasn't getting, no. Because you are perpetuating that thing in them that makes them feel like that they're not as good as or as so-and-so, or you're not painting the picture that, hey, the schools that are recruiting you, you're good. And maybe your journey starts in D2 and ends up at a Power 5, if you understand the climate. Managing expectation is the number one thing that we have to do, as I said, as parents, mentors, coaches. Be able to say, man, there's nothing wrong with it. In the second chapter of the book, losing versus failure, same thing. So many kids think they've lost because they think they've lost because they didn't get the Power 5, the Power 4, the mid-major. So we need to help them understand who they are and what the difference is between losing and failure. Truly get the book. I say this to all those that are watching because there is an added pressure a lot of times in the Black community. Chapter 3 says that failure looks different to the Black athlete. Many times when I say managing expectation, this is a straight line through, is that without someone telling you that everybody's depending on you, most young Black men believe that they have to win, they have to make it for the entire family and the entire community. And though we like the accolades of all the families and all of the community, we add this pressure on us when it's not done or we don't reach this certain plateau, and now we feel like we've let everyone down. I've watched enough TV, I watched enough stuff to know that I've seen a number of people or young men be interviewed, and when you can go 9 out of 10 young Black athletes, hey man, what are you gonna do first? I'm gonna buy my mom a house. Many of you follow my thread. I put out buying my mom a house syndrome. It's a pressure that's never been given to us or put on us. We put it on ourselves. I too had it. Did we need a house? I grew up in a house with both parents for a while. Didn't need a house, and then when we didn't have one, I thought, yeah, well, now it's up to me. We have this thing in us that we have to save the family. It's on us when we're playing sport. Managing that expectation as parents is to tell your kid, hey, you getting to college is one of my goals for you. Anything after that, man, is gravy, man. I'm proud of you. If you go to junior college, Division I, Division II, Division III, you're my son, you're my daughter, you're who you are. I'm just proud of you, and I'm not expecting you to be my retirement plan. And yes, literally, I've heard fathers and people make the comment that that's my retirement plan. Can't wait. already looking past college at the NFL, but not realizing the pressure you're adding to your kids, and then asking me in counseling, Dejon, I don't know what's wrong. I knew he smoked a little bit, but now, man, he's blowing half a pound, 2 pounds a week because he's trying to desensitize the feeling. I think you need to, a lot of us need to go back and look at how many kids your kids have played 7-on-7 with now that they have to go back and they watch those kids. I found myself asking my boys, how do you feel knowing that your big brother, Darnay Holmes, or Bryce Young, or CJ Stroud, my son Isaac that went to Nike, you were there with Johnny Wilson, you were there with Jermaine Burton, you were there with all those guys, and they're still just a handful, but they're a handful of guys you grew up with from youth ball now playing. How do you feel? Are you okay? And when we started talking about his business and what he's doing, he said, Dad, I'm good. But I won't know if I don't ask. And when I see him somber, I see him looking around, I'm going, are you okay? I'm going to ask my son Isaiah, man, I know your plan wasn't to be, working at Amazon, and you're still going to school and trying to finish. I know that wasn't your plan, but how do you feel about where you are? Are you frustrated? If you are, good. Maybe that frustration will help you get out of it, but I don't want you to be so frustrated that you don't feel like life is important. See, because the cheers are going to stop. And as my book would say, you're going to have to learn how to cheer for yourself one day, young man. You're going to have to be able to look and go, you know what? Everybody in my family may not have gone to college. Everybody didn't have the opportunities that I had, or was afforded the opportunities that I had. Thank you, Lord, for who you're making me out to be. My life, my story is not over at 24, 25. If I don't make it to the league, I got a whole lot of life ahead of me, and I don't have to now go and throw my head in the sand and be done with it. I talked to a lady, I talked to a lady who bought my book, and she said, my son, I'm so glad that somebody's talking about this. My son was a quarterback. Graduated, got his master's degree, thought he was going to get drafted. He didn't. Things didn't work out. Came home. He stayed in his room for 1.5 years, no shave. Come out to eat here and there, lost a ton of weight. Showered every once or twice a week, depressed. He's in the room that he lived in through high school. Until he had somebody ask, what's the issue? He said, I let everybody down. Parents, managing expectation is that important. Go and have a conversation with your kid. I'm going to go through some questions for you tonight. I hope that if there's anybody, take notes to the questions. Inbox me for the questions. Have the conversation. The questions are real questions for your kid. Chapter 4. I'm just looking at my notes, guys, to see if there's anybody. Got both of my brothers on. E, Big E, Little E. Yeah, celebrate small victories outside of your primary sport. Celebrate those victories. Celebrate the new job. Celebrate celebrate whatever it may be outside of the other thing. They've been hearing that their whole life. I've seen kids get sick of the game because it was like, I only play for you. I only play because of. Sometimes we're Todd Marino, we're Mr. Marinovich, and we don't even know it. Step back, manage expectation, and say, am I trying the making of a robot? And many of you guys that may listen may know what I'm talking about. Are you being him? Go read that story. This thing called depression is real. The last, it's 10 chapters. I'm going to stop at chapter 5 and then go into the questions that I have for you. But this one is so important to me. When plan A should be plan B. And that simply means that when I talk to kids, I ask the question, I say, man, what's your plans? And I hear this, the biggest word in the English vocabulary is the hugest word, but it's only 2 letters. And they start off by saying, well, if I don't go to the league, I'm going to be a fireman. And I go, oh, you mean you're going to be a fireman and you might go to the league? Not if I don't go to the league, because you have more opportunity, you have more chances of being a fireman than you do going to the league. And so there's a lot of putting the cart before the horse. And especially in this NIL era, I see people, I haven't seen one guy post a financial plan of what they're going to do with the monies that their kids are getting NIL. If it's 150, 300,000, I really love to see people share. If this is what my kid is going to get, this is what I've taught him to do. I've taught him to take half of that 300,000 and put 150 into an annuity. I told him to take this other. He's got some fun money. I gave him 20 to go be fun money. Go buy a car. I know, because guys, I watch. There's an NIL starter kit, and I see it on every athlete. And all of them do the same thing. Everybody gets a nice chain with their number or their initials. They get iced out. Maybe 1 or 2 earrings. Everybody, they might get a bracelet. They go get some jewels. And then everybody gets a Hellcat because everybody getting like 1,000 tickets. I'm seeing this. So everybody gets some type of Dodge, Hellcat, something loud they want that's super fast. Pair of jeans, and all the Louis Vuitton and the Jordans that they want so they can walk around. It's so funny that athletes, this is why this is called, this is called really dealing with exploring your identity beyond the sport. But most football players want to be rappers want to be football and basketball players. Everybody's trying to figure out who they are and what they like and what they want to look like. It tells me you don't know who you are. Number one question. I asked a group of young men recently that I took to Arizona. I asked them, I said, hey man, I'm going to ask you 3 small words that go together, and I want you to tell me who you are. And do your best without mentioning the sport. I said, do your best without mentioning the sport. Who are you? And man, there was a lot of, we didn't know. I know they're young and they're trying to figure it out. But there's a lot of other things that some of these guys could be trying to figure out. It's one of those things that they should be trying to figure out. Look, who am I? Who am I outside the game? So if you got a pen, you got a little time, I got 10 questions. A little bit of a survey that I would think would be really, really good for you and your son, daughter, athlete would be able to do. Really, 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 really. And it would really just be you asking these 10 simple questions. Number 1, and I'll put them on my page, something that I do in therapy, but I just said, hey, I didn't do it live. Hopefully there's some kids that are watching on Twitter, watching on Facebook, a parent that says, hey, I'm going to do this. I want to talk to my kid. I want to make sure that we help them out. We help them out before the season. Seeing that football season is this, some of these questions just, they're all football. But if you have an athlete play any other sport, ask them, from that sports perspective. If you never played another down of football again, who would you be? If you never played another down of football again, Who would you be? What are your dreams outside of football or sports? Do we ever ask this question? If you don't play Division I or make it to the NFL, NHL, MLB, NBA, how else can you make a difference in the world? If you don't play Division I or make it to any professional sport, how else can you make a difference in the world? What do you love to do? Number 4. What do you love to do outside? What do you love to do outside? Or what do you love to do that has nothing to do with football? What do you do that has nothing to do with basketball, baseball, football, soccer, whatever sport you're in? Here's the big one. I call it the big one because it's number 5 that I was counseling a young man and he began to just cry when I asked this question. It hit him. And I want you to ask this question seriously to your kid. I asked the kid the question number 5. I said, what do you think? I said, who do you think you'd be letting down if you don't make it to the league, and why? I was talking to a young man, and I respect him and his dad, love him to death. I was talking to him. Dad called me and he said, I really like you to talk to him. And I appreciate him so much because he didn't know I was in my training for doing this as a therapist in college, really counseling and trying to get this done. And he said, with all due respect, Mr. Jernagin, if I don't make it, then everyone who told me what they told me, it was all BS. I said, whoa. But no one lied to you. You have a ton of opportunity, but he said, I'm not accepting not making it to the pinnacle. I'm not accepting it. And though I love the determination, and I understand as a parent, we tell our kids, don't settle. That becomes the hard place, especially when you ask this question. Who do you think you'd be letting down, number 5, if you don't make it to the league, and why? If the NFL, number 6, isn't in your future, NBA, MLB, whatever it may be, if it isn't in your future, what career or purpose will still make you proud of your life? What's the one thing you're good at, number 7, that has nothing to do with athletics? Parents, ask yourself that about your kid. What else are they good at that has nothing to do with athletics? Is there anything that I can do to help them with that? Is there anything I can do to help them understand that? Be a part of that. Number 8, how can you use the lessons that you learn from football in other areas of your life? I was recently with that question, how can you use the other lessons you've learned from football or any sport in other areas of your life? I was listening to Cam Newton on, I think it was a Funky Friday. He had my Muslim brother on there who made the statement, go back and watch it, that other coaches, their kids go into the sport to learn teamwork, camaraderie. They go in to learn a number of different things, but our kids go to get, this is my retirement plan. My next book, or my third book, I think that's coming, is going to be D1 or Bust. Whatever happened to just having fun? Our kids aren't having fun. It's work. It's a business. How many times have you heard us talk about this being a business as early as, your kid has to understand this is a business coming out of high school into college. It's a business now. High school is a business. I wish CIF understood that you got to change some of your practices and things that you're doing, because if college is giving money, then, and on this level, you want to tell a kid not to go to this school, go to that school, don't transfer, don't try. People are trying to get to where they can get the opportunity. And if you're going to have me play somewhere where you don't even pay a coach, oh, did I go off? I'm sorry. Let me stay here. How can you use the lessons you've learned from football in other areas of your life? Another big one. Ask your kid and tell them to be as totally honest as they can with these 10 questions. Who believes in you, not just as an athlete, but as a person? Who believes in you, not just as an athlete, but as a person? And number 10, what legacy do you want to leave behind, even if it's not on the football field? What legacy do you want to leave behind, even if it's not on the football field? Those are some really, really tough questions. It's tough as a parent to really sit down and say, son, answer honestly, because now I got to deal with how I've been managing the expectation and how I really want to help deal with exploring your identity and who you are. I truly wish, if anybody had any questions, you can tune in, go in my inbox, put it in and say, hey, Dejon, man, hey, if I got a young man in a group that's, I'd like you to come and speak with. Also can tell you there's some clear signs that athletes have, or people have, I'm sorry, that are dealing with some depression. If you have some graduates and mom, dad, you're trying to help kids with depression, or you're looking for some of those things that you need to help. So there's 7 ways to help athletes navigate through mental health, mainly depression. Acknowledge the problem without judgment. Talk to these guys. Redefine identity beyond sports. That's what we did tonight. Encourage open conversations about mental health. Man, you ain't the only one who's felt that way. I try to give the testimony about being an athlete. When I finished, I had a plane ticket to go to Brazil and play with the Globetrotters in Brazil. And I had my beautiful girlfriend, who's now my wife. I'm 28. She just finished at UCLA. And I've been living out of a suitcase for the last 2 years, 18 months playing. And the reality was, I don't know if I want to go back and play. It's not the NBA. It's clown basketball. Forgive me. It's fun. I make good money, but I'm trying to figure out who am I? But I'm afraid. I'm afraid. There's a lot of fear, guys, that you understand. I'm 28 with this fear. Because now I can play and hide in the hotel, hide behind the jersey, high. See, a lot of you guys think that when these guys finish, I was just at Arizona State watching these guys go lift weights, and then when we went upstairs, I went and there's this kitchen, and you walk by, and you go, I go, what's this? And they go, oh, when they finish lifting weights, they can just walk by here and say, give me a 3-egg omelet. I need protein. I'm gonna go change, take a shower, and it'll be in a styrofoam thing with some orange juice and some other stuff. They pamper them. They wait. It's waiting for them when they finish. And you go, oh my God, the kid's like, oh, what a life. But in 4 years, 3 years, and now it's year to year, it can be over like that. And now you don't know where you're going. I was on the road, in a hotel, traveling, per diem, money in the bank, traveling, playing basketball, city to city. And how do I get out of here? What do I do? Better than this. I want to do better. So you got to understand, you got to encourage and help understand that one day that stuff's going to stop. And it's not going to stop. It's going to come to an abrupt boom. And you won't even look at your degree, and you may be a graduate with a bachelor's or a master's. And you won't even look at that with excitement or whatever, like you should. You'll be looking at it like, oh man, but I didn't go to the league. So that's why these conversations are, absolutely important. Provide access to professional support. Promote healthy coping mechanisms. Develop a strong support system. Educate athletes on mental health before the cheers stop. That's what I'm trying to do now. Before they stop, let's have these conversations. I'd say get my book. It's on Amazon. If you see me in town, I always got a box in my car. I'll give it away. I'll sign it away on Amazon. It's $15. Book us. Book me. I love to come talk to the kids. I love to come ask these same questions. I love for you guys to come hear them hear and understand what they're going through. Absolutely. The number, I don't know if I put the ticker on. I'm not watching. Oh yeah. The Amazon is there, but I would tell you absolutely this Sunday, August 10th, at 1 to 4 o'clock at 1929 Truxton, we are having a free event. It is a goal setting and identity workshop. It's free for you young men. Bring them by. There'll be some food. We're going to give them journals. Some of these young men need to just write. They need to write it out. One of the things that I've learned, especially with guys that haven't had fathers, working with the Man Up Foundation, working at Crenshaw High School as a coach. I coached 15 boys in JV basketball. 11 of them were without fathers. They need that male influence and that conversation from guys who may have been there. And so this week, I will have my mentor, my brother, my friend, Keith Woolridge, and any other men that may be watching say, AD, I'd like to come by. Come by. Bring your son, bring your nephew, bring your neighbor. We have seats for 25, 35 guys. We just love to have you come in. Now my brother Kurt Dukes come in from Los Angeles. Brother Aaron, young man who did 27 years. Who's come out and changed his life. So from a gang perspective to where he is today, on having how to change, not just athletes, things that are happening. So bring these guys, definitely come by. Bring your kids by. It's absolutely free. The flyer will be on my page. I put it on Twitter, Instagram, as well as Facebook. Okay. So definitely want to, have these conversations with you guys. So thank you guys for joining in on, dealing, exploring your identity beyond sports. My next podcast will be with Mr. Woolridge. We'll be talking about BC junior college not being the consolation prize. And let me say this as a precursor to that show. A lot of parents, a lot of young men feel like we've made them, and I thank God for Sister Charzetta Ortiz, who told me, she said, Dejon, sometimes even me made it sound like, if you went to BC, you failed. You didn't do what you need to do. You had to go to junior college. Kind of like the kid that plays in the 9th grade that has to play JV in the 10th grade. He doesn't feel. See, these things start happening with these kids, but then they start unraveling at that age, right? Like 9th grade, now I'm in the 10th grade. I want to play varsity, but I'm not big enough, so they put me on JV, and now I'm on JV, and because I'm on JV, the varsity kid or the other 9th grade kid that came in with me is like, shut up, you're on JV. So we start classes. That's where classism and we start, having the little cliques. And now the kids start feeling bad because he's not a varsity guy. And so he feels, back in our day, it was, some guys go do steroids, or some guys go, I don't even want to play no more, start hanging out with the wrong guys. Those are the things that you got to watch for and be aware of. And sometimes coaches, we have to kind of start talking and say, hey, look, you playing JV is not a problem, but you going to BC is not a consolation prize. Your role may be different. My father had a statement. He said, same people you see coming up, seeing going up, may be the same people you see going down. Right? He used to say that. He said, hey, it may not be today, it may be tomorrow. I was a short guy. I think I'm still short, but I was really short. And it was, man, when am I going to grow? The short basketball player, when am I going to get taller? He said, hey, it ain't about being taller. Maybe you need to jump higher. So I jumped higher. Right? But at the end of the day, man, it's not a consolation prize. And I have to do a better job of presenting. We have to do a better, this is managing expectation, parents. We have to do a better job of presenting JC, presenting other opportunities as that what they are opportunities, not constellation prizes. Oh, so you didn't get this. It's okay. This works too. And we make it sound. I was speaking with Mr. Woolridge earlier, and those are the things that we have to be better at when we say stuff. You can ask the parent and they downplay the junior college. Oh, he's just at BC. No, he's going to BC. He's just taking some classes at BC. It's all in how we present it and how it makes them feel that it's really not Cal State or Fresno State or USC. It's somebody else. It's not what you wanted, Mom. So when somebody says, hey, what your son is doing, you answer and you have that disappointment in your tone. Oh, he's just taking a few classes. He's not. What is he majoring in? He's doing some stuff. What your boy doing, sir? Oh, man, he up at BC, man. He enjoying it, man. Getting his 2 years in. There's a different, and so now it doesn't seem so bad. Manage that expectation. Mr. Woolridge is on. He says, when I see them in classroom, many are broken that they don't play at the next level. Yeah, they're looking at this like, they're hiding from it. Same thing happens at the NAIA level. I know the kids that will come home after a year of NAIA football. One, because either they're losing. Two, it's not college football like they think, where you're getting 8 pair of cleats and you get all this other stuff. No, NAIA, some of them don't have the money others have, or even D2. I was talking to a young a dad and my young nephew this morning. He didn't get the helmet that he thought. He's in college and his helmet was old. He didn't understand. Well, you're not at this other level, but it's okay. You're playing college football at the Division II level. So we got to manage that expectation and help our student athletes understand, really understand who they are and, what this whole thing is about. So again, Sunday, I would really, really love for you guys to meet us at 1929 Truxton Avenue, Suite C at 1 o'clock. I'll have some food here. Each one of the kids will get, will get my book, When the Cheers Stop. I don't know whether I autograph it or not. I don't know if they want it, but I'll make sure that they have this book. They will get also a journal that they might be able to write in, and we're going to be going over the dangers of vaping. We're going to do some goal setting for the school year. So it'll be a very, very good thing for your kid to show up to and be a part of. I would love to have them here with myself, Keith Woodward, Brother Aaron, and whoever else would like to come by and give volunteer some of your time to speak to some young men. All right. My name is Dejon Jernagin. You can find me on Instagram at entertainment or Instagram. I do have CA Recruits on TikTok, When the Cheers Stop. My goodness, I think I have When the Cheers Stop now on Instagram too. I'm sorry. When the Cheers Stop on Instagram. I have a new website coming out. It is When the Cheers Stop, and it'll have all of my videos and workshops that you can be a part of. I am a certified speaker with John Maxwell. So you'll find me as you put in Dejon Jernagin, John Maxwell, where I do a number of different things, teaching on leadership. I'm a DISC certified trainer as well, dealing with personality and in the workplace, a number of different things. But I'd love to work with you, work with your student athletes, kids, adults, whatever it may be. But I can be found in those platforms. You also, if you can't make it, order the book on Amazon. It's $15. Once you do that on Amazon, again, I greatly appreciate it. All right. Again, Sunday, 1 o'clock, 1929 Truxton Avenue, in the city of Bakersfield, California. We love to have you. Thank you. God bless you. Have a good night.
When this thing doesn't work out, it's almost like we put all our eggs in one basket.
It's time we start the conversation. It's time we change the game. What happens when the roar of the crowd fades?
Different battle begins.
What happens when the final whistle blows? When the lights dim and the cheers stop? For years, they've trained, sacrificed, and given everything to the game.
But you're still chasing that. And when you get by yourself, that's the tough part. You got to sit with yourself and deal with the reality. And as my book would say, you got to learn how to cheer for yourself when nobody else is cheering.
That was it. I'll let that play out.
How'd your stream go?